Now, I think it couldn't be any more clear that The Acolyte is most certainly going to be The Last Jedi 2.0 as far as the level of fans really reacting to it in a negative sense and creating all this backlash against Lucasfilm, against Disney, and rightfully so, by the way, based on not just the story and the direction of the show, but also based on what Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy have been talking about when it comes to the Acolyte series, their overall push with their agenda into the show, that's only going to make it, like I said before, worse than The Last Jedi back in 2017. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, the Acolyte trailer, we know that across the board it has been ratioed on nearly every platform, and that really speaks volumes, that it really isn't just the word of mouth on a negative scale, but it also just has to do with people purely realizing and beginning to wake up that the Acolyte is nothing but agenda-driven garbage that's all full of DEI nonsense that was approved, by the way, by Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, and created by Leslye Headland, in turn hiring inexperienced writers/directors as well involved in the Acolyte to help her out. Now, moving on forward, we know that Leslye Headland is defending this thing through and through in a desperate move to really engage in damage control, to really ignore the ratios across the board when it comes to the Acolyte series. Something, by the way, that we have never seen out of any Star Wars trailer before. Not even with the Kenobi series, not with Mando Season 3, and most certainly not with any of the other Star Wars films. This is the first Star Wars project that has received so many dislikes out of everywhere, out of all fans. So, moving on forward, interestingly enough, with both Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios now listed as two of the most flawed divisions at the Walt Disney Company, one major development has to do with Lucasfilm's latest Star Wars project, The Acolyte, and its showrunner Leslye Headland, where she delivered the following in order to defend her series. I would say I'm a proud feminist and woman, and one that likes to protect the LGBTQ movement, and how we are going to incorporate that into the Acolyte was something that felt so powerful and meaningful in my life, and I couldn't thank Kathy any more than I already did for making all of that possible. But you are always going to have loud, entitled fans that are such a minority that really try to come across as something substantial in this community that remains opposed to a creator's vision. I mean, we saw this with all the sequel movies from the same loud minority, and we are witnessing it again with The Acolyte, and was one who defends, of course, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You really just have to remain thick-skinned in this business and to just take it and roll with the punches. That's what a powerful woman is all about, and I think I serve as a great symbol of how this show will sort of empower that for others. Leslye Headland continued to say, "The Acolyte is most certainly going to be Lucasfilm's best achievement. I believe we found the right format to shift away from George's vision and philosophy to embrace a new generation of fans that have never seen one film or series. We also have members of our writing team that helped me with the script that never saw any Star Wars films, and I think this makes the story even more original, since some of our creators remained unbiased, but not seeing a single film or show associated with this franchise. This was one approach that myself and Kathy really shook hands on, and we knew going in, the same loud minority of fans would have an issue with hiring writers like that, and directors as well, that never really got to see Star Wars. But it was something Kathy was truly excited about, and a great move to steer away from the format of George's point of view on everything. This series of ours is going to break the rules of Star Wars and will be discontinuing many traditions within the franchise. And that's something we also knew going in would upset these so-called fans that I think don't really understand what Star Wars is all about. It's about evolution. Make no mistake, but we are in a different era now. This is the High Republic, but we are finding ways to change the current fans' view of the prequels. We are also providing new meaning to the Sith and why they are the way that they are. And it's not what you think either. It's going to be incredible. The philosophy of the dark side and the light side is something we also wanted to change and alter, and whether fans like that or not is something we couldn't really worry about going into this story. Now guys, let me stop here quick before I move on about Leslye spewing all this nonsense. Now, not only is she flat out confirming that the meaning of the Sith is going to be altered, it's going to be shifted around, and a lot of people are thinking that this may be something around the lines that the Sith were once good people, or that the Sith are, misunderstood, or something around those lines, something that will really damage the Star Wars brand beyond repair. And to be honest, guys, I think it's beyond repair already. Let's be real about that. There's no fixing this franchise at this point. All the true fans have diverged from it all, and the Acolyte is only going to be, I feel, the final nail in the coffin. It really will be, if it's going to be as bad as it's being marketed to be. Now, with Leslye Headland also confirming that they are ridding of traditions within the Star Wars franchise. So you could take that in any way. You can take that in multiple ways. There are many traditions within Star Wars. The specifics are currently unknown about what traditions are going in the trash. We'll talk more about that later down the road once we learn more about that. But Leslye Headland is so obsessed, seemingly so, by getting rid of George Lucas's philosophy and his overall outlook on what Star Wars really is all about. Now, let's not forget what George said on camera. I believe it was like last year on social media, that short little video he made, that the 6 movies are his, and that Disney's just doing their own thing, alright? Now, moving on forward, on top of all of that, this is where things begin to go downhill. Now, she goes on to conclude, the philosophy of the dark side and the light will be something that we will change altogether. And whether fans like that, of course, is something that really was up for discussion. Both I and Kathy agreed this was a must move on our part to make Star Wars something special again and to find the right avenue to attract new fans, and how we are creating new films and series that will revolve around the Acolyte. We wanted to subvert expectations and really something that would be considered a bold move, but yet a necessary move within this franchise, to finally make it feel new and refreshed. Oh boy, alright, so here's the other thing, is that this sounds like Rian Johnson 2.0 now. Subverting expectations, right? Making bold moves. This is screaming The Last Jedi. Most certainly it is. We know that Rian talked about this, about subverting expectations. We know that Rian talked about making those bold decisions. Even something that Mark Hamill questioned at the time within the filming stage, principal photography of The Last Jedi. And he even got into a bit of trouble with Disney for making that, criticism public, and that's why he reverted his statements and then went back onto his statements. Now, when you look at the Acolyte, this is going to be canon breaking from what it sounds like. It is going to be a canon breaker. And if you look at everything that was demonstrated in the prequels, all of the Jedi that witnessed the Sith at this point in time, they need to die to make this work, because not a single Sith was seen within that time frame of a millennia, right? So overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this, moving onwards into, of course, the drama related to the Acolyte. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.